Alrighty guys, welcome to the Quick Match Series here on my channel. So I'm not too sure what I'm going to evolve this series into right now. We are in purgatory until UFC 3 is released. It's going to be awesome. Play the beta a little bit. Got a tiny bit comfortable with that. They did kind of revamp the whole striking game, so it might be a slight adjustment. Either way, here we are with some UFC 2 gameplay. This is, like I said, for right now, just kind of gonna be like a quick match series. I got a couple of gameplays recorded where I'm beating up on some guys. I'm using some pretty good technique. So we also, I can turn this into kind of talking about, hot topics in MMA, kind of how the last, fights have been going, upcoming fights. So let's just get right into the gameplay. I just knocked down Robbie Lawler with an elbow. I'm playing as Uriah Hall, who is a few overall points under Robbie Lawler. So this guy who's supposed to be Robbie Lawler has, what you would think as an advantage. But obviously, I'm kind of taking him by storm here in the first round. We got a nasty elbow knockdown. Now we're beating him up in the clinch. I wanted to stay on this guy. I felt pretty good after getting that initial knockdown. But Robbie Lawler, his perks in the game, he had like weathering storms and, made of wood. So he is able to get through almost all of those health events. So I got to, and he has an iron chin in this game. So I have to figure out some way to knock him down, which I do again with the flurry of punches right there. We caught him. Right here, I go for that jumping roundhouse. I end up missing. We get caught with a little bit of lag. And I made up my mind right there that I need to start chopping the leg to open up the head. And I'm going to try to get him out of here in the first round. So we did a turning side kick to the body. All right, we're getting him accustomed to slamming the legs. You guys see he's dropping his hands just a little bit. He's getting a little frustrated that none of his punches are really landing and that he's probably been knocked down twice here in the first few minutes. He's throwing a lot of hooks. He's opening himself up. We're going to continue to chop the leg. We go high. And I wanted to keep this on a feet. I wanted to have a nice gameplay for you guys. See here, he drops his hands. And we come over high just like I wanted to. We get a nice knockout. And we open up the video with some good gameplay. So I was excited to get that for you. We do have like two more gameplays here, so stick around. But right here, you guys see we are victorious with Uriah Hall, who was slated to be, the next killer at middleweight when he was in the Tough House. He was knocking a lot of guys out. He transferred over to the UFC. He had some mental issues. He never really got right in the head, in the octagon at least. He was kind of a room wrestler, if you guys know that terminology. So he was like killing it in practice, but when the lights are on, it just got to him, and he was never able to perform. He got beat up a couple times. He ended up coming back over Gegard Mousasi, and he's got a little bit of momentum in his corner. He had a nasty knockout of like Krzysztof Jotko, I believe, and that kind of got him back on track. Here we have another hot guy in the UFC right now, Brian Ortega. Okay, he just beat up Cub Swanson in his last outing. It was a great fight. I didn't know who to pick. I was a little bit torn. Brian Ortega, he's had some nasty wins in the past over Clay Guida and Renato Moicano. He had some nasty finishes late in the fight, which were entertaining to watch. So his stand-up has been evolving ever since he really got into the UFC. And now guys don't know whether they want to stand with him and trade. They might get knocked out, or do they want to go to the ground and risk getting submitted, which is what he ended up catching Cub Swanson with, was a nasty standing guillotine. He adjusted, pushed off the cage, and he almost popped his head right off of his shoulders. It was pretty amazing if you guys had a chance to watch those fights. The UFC is putting on some pretty good fight nights. WME is doing a lot of great things for the UFC so far, as far as how many pay-per-views they have, how many fight nights they have, really getting their fighters out there and, making the UFC a lot more famous. I feel like every time I turn around, there's these MMA guys on TV or podcasts not related to MMA solely. So it seems like the UFC is going in the right direction. Back to the gameplay. We open up round 2. I'm trying to taunt this guy. That's one of my things that I like to do is, taunt these guys. We get a little frustrated. Sometimes I like to fight with my back off of the cage just to help close that distance. And this guy actually was doing a pretty good job of keeping the distance. He was switching up the timing on a lot of his attacks, kind of making it a little unpredictable for me to get in there. You guys can see some of the redness as he kicks me in the head, some of the redness on my body and on the legs. I'm just trying to get in on him and slow him down a little bit from advancing. He's kind of making me a little uncomfortable. I don't have a lot of time to move and head and or bob and weave rather is what I'm trying to say with the head. Doing that rope-a-dope style. I end up catching him. Like I waved him in. He came in and he caught a nice punch to the head. I rock him. And now it's his turn to back up. So we're on the prowl right here. We are going in for some type of kill. I realize it's not my time. I'm just going to, fall back and let him wade towards me again, see if I can't catch him one more time. Throwing the uppercut in there when we're circling to his left. All right, I'm trying to avoid that right hand. Also trying to avoid those kicks. All right, he's threw a lot of those spinning kicks in this fight and in this round, which ultimately, is doing worse for him. He didn't land a lot. I was able to counter him a bunch off of that. And you guys will eventually see I'm going to score a takedown off of one of his spinning kicks. So it is not a good idea to be doing that type of stuff. Right here, he missed me completely. I got a nice takedown. Now we're going to control him on top. I want to hit him with this Kimura, which I end up getting him in the transition. Right here, fighting a submission switch. This is some beautiful jiu-jitsu. You could see Brian Ortega doing this in a fight. He almost gets out there. We end up, stopping his gate, and we get the finish. So we have a nice submission switch over Anthony Pettis, who actually lost his last outing against Dustin Poirier, almost in a weird fight too. He was getting beat up on the feet, and I think Dustin Poirier broke him, broke his will, broke his mental attitude, and ended up just ground and pounding him, and he tapped out to like a rib injury from the mount. So weird stuff. Brian Ortega, he is on the way to stardom. Here, you guys see a rematch from a few years ago. We have Chad Mendes versus Conor McGregor. My whole game plan was to get him down, drain his energy. I'm getting him worried about these submissions, and hopefully once we stand up, he'll be so worried about the takedown, maybe I can clip him on the feet. But right here, you guys see the key lock or the Americana, one of my favorite submissions, actually. It's pretty nasty. You get a lot of torque on the shoulder, and if you guys have ever been put in one, it literally feels like your shoulder's going to be ripped right off. It is nasty. The torque, the tension that is in your shoulder, it is pretty painful. So he survives, luckily, right? You guys see we're going to transition into the next round. And just like I said, I want to get in his head that I'm going to take him down, and hopefully I can come over the top. I'm trying to make him miss on the feet, drain a little bit more of that stamina, and maybe just, get on his nerves, get him a little frustrated. You guys do see he is missing quite a bit. I just caught him with an uppercut and a hook. I'm circling actually to his power hand, which I wouldn't advise, but he does stand southpaw. So it is a little bit tricky when you are fighting these guys from an orthodox stance. I fake the takedown, bob and weave up top. He misses. I catch him with an overhand. I go for another one. I got a little bit overzealous. I thought I might be able to catch him. End up not happening. So we're going back to our tactic. We're calling him in, making him miss, rope-a-dope. He's trying to the body. He gets me with a lucky uppercut. I should have had the takedown. But the game gets me right back, and I go ahead and hit him up top just like I wanted to. So you got to roll with the punches. Another overhand, you guys see. Now I'm getting some momentum. I'm backing him up. Another overhand. He goes for that desperation knee. We shoot. We get a nice takedown here. I was going to try to pin him. He gets lucky. Oh, nope. I thought he was going to roll me. He doesn't. So we have top control. Right here, we're going to try to posture up. See if we can loosen him up, weaken him. And he throws up no defense. So we're just going to pound him out with some nasty elbows. The ref calls a stop to the fight. And, we go ahead and get 3 victories here. You guys saw a knockout victory. We saw a submission switch victory. And I showed you guys a little bit of the ground and pound. So hopefully that was entertaining. Hopefully I put a little bit of my skills on display. Hopefully you guys can, like, comment, and subscribe. Give me some ideas for future videos. I'm pretty well versed at this game. I have a lot of ways to win. So if you guys want to see more stand-up, you want to see more, technical ground fighting, seeing me pass and sweep and go for submissions and beat up on these guys, which I also think is entertaining in its own right. It is very nice to see some nasty stand-up. I have a few of those videos coming to you guys, but also I can appreciate, taking somebody down, ground and pounding them, giving them some good jiu-jitsu and getting your hand raised a different way. So let me know what you guys think. Again, this is a new series to the channel. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I can go from there. So thanks, guys. Until next time.